The driver is down to the wheels on five. Five of the tires are gone, down to the bare wheels. Those spike strips were successfully deployed.
So when you were talking about the DPS vehicle racing ahead of the driver, that's exactly what that trooper was doing, racing ahead to get in position to throw the sticks. And, they'll keep on. If that's the game they have to play, it's going to be jumping rope so they can get all wheels popped. They'll keep on deploying stop sticks along the way, trying to pop all the tires. Then you'll have to, will he stop or will he roll on rim?
Okay, and now we're told that the 18-wheeler is moving into the metropolitan, little more densely populated area of Greenville, and you could see on that freeway overpass the traffic there had come to a stop. There's another good look at the bare wheels, the rims that the driver of this 18-wheeler now is having to contend with. His speed has been reduced, but you can see he does not appear to be in any mood to stop at this point, in spite of the fact that by our count he's lost perhaps 5 tires, but still able to maneuver that truck. We talked about also the other law enforcement agencies that may be involved. That pickup truck that's now right alongside the 18-wheeler, that's a Hunt County Constable. So that's at least one other law enforcement agency involved in the pursuit. Again, heading into the more populated area, the business district of Greenville, from what we understand. We're looking at an access road heading east along I-30 as this pursuit continues. The driver is behind the wheel of a stolen big rig truck. Garland Police, as Sean is talking about, were initially involved in this pursuit. They're apparently no longer part of it, but DPS now keeping a close watch with a number of vehicles deployed along with the Hunt County Constable, and we've been seeing from time to time the DPS helicopter also with an aerial view, and that is something that they want the driver to see. They want to make sure the person behind the wheel of this stolen truck realizes that he is surrounded on all sides and has no options. And we're seeing now along I-30 East that darker colored DPS vehicle with a little higher speed. And we've been talking about with Sean how when you see the vehicles, the law enforcement go faster past the 18-wheeler, that's oftentimes they're trying to get in position to lay down another spike strip. So far, that has been successful. The driver down to rims on at least 5 of the wheels. But when you're talking about an 18-wheeler, it may require a number of spike strips to successfully deflate all of the tires and further immobilize this 18-wheeler.
So this is where it could get a little dicey here, Dan, as he's moving into now Greenville proper. And, of course, there's going to be more traffic. You could have folks walking, pedestrian traffic, as well as vehicular traffic here. And this is where it could get a little dicey. We'll have to watch.
Yes, we're seeing from our angle from above, there's a number of off-ramps leading into the central business area of Greenville. So the population, the number of other cars of civilian traffic may be increasing. So this is where things could get a little more complicated. Well, now you can see heading right through a pretty good-sized intersection. Thankfully, all the civilian traffic you can see has come to a stop in the opposite directions. DPS doing a good job so far of keeping civilian traffic away from this situation. But that's certainly something that's in the minds of all the troopers involved. The sooner this chase comes to an end, of course, the better it'll be for public safety. The driver certainly must know that he is not going to successfully elude law enforcement. But as we see in these situations, Sean, oftentimes the vehicle being pursued, whether it's a much smaller vehicle like an SUV or a van or a passenger car, or something really large and unwieldy like an 18-wheeler. The driver sometimes decides just inexplicably to keep things going, even knowing what the outcome is going to be.
Many times, people we've talked to who've been behind the wheel in some of these instances, they talk about the adrenaline racing, their heart beating. They know they should stop, but they've made a decision to run, and they run, and they don't stop. It's like something takes them over. They don't want to give up to police, even though they figure, they know at the end of this, I'm probably going to get caught. But there is something that causes them to continue on. Many people have said that. This is moving again. Where it's the middle of the day now, 12:13 or so, 12:14 in Greenville, in Hunt County. And if he gets through Greenville, then the traffic is going to drop dramatically, and he'll keep rolling east, most likely.
And here we see the big rig coming up to what appeared to be another intersection. Another factor, of course, taking a turn with when you're missing at least 5 tires down to rims. That becomes an especially tricky maneuver if you're behind the wheel of a stolen big rig truck. But he was able to execute what looks like a U-turn there, and this pursuit continues. Again, right now, very much a rural area, but they've been approaching or passing through the more populated area of Greenville, but still at this point, open fields. But we are seeing a little bit more now civilian traffic on that section of, if it is still I-30. Yeah. The truck itself on an I-30 service road, and you can see a few more vehicles heading along I-30. One thing DPS has been able to do is greatly reduce the amount of traffic heading eastbound on both this access road and this stretch of I-30. But that big rig truck and the driver behind the wheel of this stolen 18-wheeler still determined to push on in spite of seeing now what looks like an increasing law enforcement presence. Now, okay, you can see from Sky 4, the service road has ended. The driver has run out of road. The vehicle has come to a stop. Those DPS personnel now in position with, you can see, guns drawn. Not sure if they're now trying to communicate directly with the big rig driver, but they are in position behind the 18-wheeler. Maybe Sky 4 can pull out just a bit, and we can see how many vehicles DPS has in position. We're counting 6, 7, 8, at least 8 DPS personnel. We earlier saw a Hunt County constable also involved in the chase. Everyone we're seeing from DPS with weapons drawn. We wouldn't be at all surprised if they're now trying to communicate, get some orders to this driver to exit the vehicle. Hands in plain sight, no sudden moves. All right, now Sky 4 is, now you can see that just over the time that we've been following this, maybe the last 30 minutes, the number of law enforcement vehicles, mostly DPS, has increased considerably. And you can see where that stretch of access road along I-30 comes to a sudden end. Do they have some information now that whoever is inside that truck, they've made the
here comes the device. Now, here comes the SWAT vehicle.
Yeah.
Here comes the SWAT vehicle now. They are holding, these 2 officers are holding something there. That was the weapon perhaps they had on the truck. Okay, so here we're going to see what's going to happen now.
Yeah.
They're pulling up side by side, and perhaps, Dan, they are going to try to look in the truck to see, is the driver unconscious? Has he inflicted some wound on himself? So now we see it appears that the officer who was standing there had some kind of device. It's not a gun, I don't believe.
Yeah.
Some sort of device in his hand. And you can see him there now, Dan, on the pavement doing something.
A very good and protected view inside the cab. Okay, and
Now-
as you can see, the
Okay,
SWAT...
they're moving. The SWAT vehicle's moving. And remember, there is a sleeping quarters there behind the front seat, so that's possible. There is something
Now, is there a sign of... Okay,
that. Well, I see something or someone in the passenger seat.
right. A
And
form of
That
some
could
kind.
be the dog
inside-
that people are
Okay.
referencing.
Yeah, right. Something...
It's a
movement-
dog or a person. It's in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
now it appears that's the side that well, let's see if that's the side they're going to or if they're just going to back up and turn around. The Hunt County.
Hunt County
Armored vehicle.
Armored vehicle. We did see a number of SWAT officers climb in what looked like climbing in the back of that vehicle. Okay.
So they're not
now-
going anywhere now, that's for sure.
Yeah. All right. So we've got, again, based on that
That's
does
the dog.
look like it
I
is a
believe
dog.
I believe that is
Okay.
a dog. Oh, he shot through the.
All right.
The dog is okay. We can see the dog
Right.
is moving around.
Okay. SWAT officer just fired, as you can see,
you
into
see,
the
he
windshield.
fired
Now
through
we
the
can get a
windshield.
better view of the dog. The dog is okay.
So what we're going to find out is if he was firing tear gas in there or live ammo. We'll learn, Dan Godwin. But they wasted no time in doing that. It was after they saw what they needed to see, or perhaps whatever they were trying to do when they pulled alongside the driver's side window, then they pulled the armored vehicle nose to nose, and he popped up and fired one time. And you can see, I believe it is a dog in the passenger seat. The dog moving around does appear to be nervous, but okay.
Mobile at this point. And yeah, and you talk about, given the size of the hole in the windshield, a canister perhaps big enough to be a tear gas canister. We're just watching it.
Could be, but I'm not seeing what I would deem to be smoke filling up the cab.
Right.
And now they're getting ready to come out of the back of this vehicle. We're going to see if they storm the cab of that truck now. And this has been going on, since, we're 2 hours into this, since it probably began in the 11 o'clock hour down in Kaufman County.
Okay.
Here he comes again.
All right.
That's the second shot.
Second shot through the windshield. Again, if that's okay, now we can make out what looks like a driver, maybe
Someone moving.
was maybe in the
I
sleeping quarters.
think you can see the smoke now, maybe, perhaps. Here they come. Somebody's coming out the door. Door's open.
Looks like, well, we can see the dog has stepped out. Now, did the driver come out first?
The
Okay,
dog
there's
is
the
out.
dog. Okay.
And there could. The dog is out. There's the driver. I believe someone else is out. Not yet.
All right. Okay.
They've rushed him, and they're going to take him down to the ground
Okay.
and
There's-
make sure there's only one person in there. So we know that was
down.
2 canisters of tear gas that went through the windshield.
Remarkable.
At least
Okay.
the second one did what the first one didn't do, apparently.
Okay, as you say, they made sure there's no other people or no other occupants of that cab. The driver down, as you can see, and a SWAT officer able to restrain the dog. And the cab has been now thoroughly checked out. Again, presumably tear gas shot through the windshield. And
Wonder
again,
if it's his dog or if it was the dog that belonged to the owner of the truck. And when the truck was stolen, the dog was stolen with it, because perhaps he was left inside while the owner went to a restroom or something.
This,
Well.
again, this 18-wheeler was on a cross-country trip from Yuma, Arizona to Maryland. No scheduled stops in Texas, according to the trucking company. The truck, though, was reported stolen at some point, spotted in Kaufman. A police chase ensued through Garland, part of Dallas County. It came to an end in Hunt County on the outskirts of Greenville along an eastbound I-30 access road. And as you can see, the driver now as Sky 4 maneuvers around these trees. The driver now on the ground.